Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out on this lovely May evening tonight. Our topic is solutions to allergies and asthma. I don't know if any of you have been working in your yard or have been out in it, but of course we see all that pollen and feel it in Atlanta a lot. I was gone for a while. I had the privilege of going to Australia, which was wonderful. And when I came back, it was like the weeds had taken over my entire yard. So I have been out there and felt the effects of this. So if you are feeling the allergies and asthma and those things, you're trying to see what solutions you might have, Dr. Joe will be talking on that tonight. And we prepared a menu tonight that we hope that you will enjoy, and that also will help you to build up your immune system to fight off some of these things. The first thing we're going to have tonight is ginger lemonade, and they have a wonderful product by Simply Nutrition that's called Lemon Ginger Echinacea. It's juice, and I've paired this with Dr. Joe's ginger that he normally does, and he has a great way of preparing it. He takes a ginger root and he grates it, and then he adds water or lemon if you'd like to it, and then we put it in ice cube trays. And so once that is frozen up, all you have to do is pop out a couple of those and they're ready to make your tea or your juice. And then you just reconstitute it with a little bit of hot water. And tonight I've done that. We put hot water in it and then I've added this juice to it. So whatever you like, that is a great way to get some ginger into your body, which is very helpful to you. And secondly, I've made a cold gazpacho soup. Whenever the tomatoes start coming in, I think of this soup because it's got lots of yummy veggies in it, and it's a tomato juice base. And so I've made that for you tonight with some gluten-free crackers. And then for dessert, we will be having our maple walnut ice cream. So as you know, Dr. Joe is a vegan. He does not do animal products or dairy products. So we've used bananas and rice milk as a basis for the ice cream tonight. So I hope that you'll enjoy all of those and that you'll enjoy the lecture and get your questions ready for Dr. Joe. So at this time, Dr. Joe.
I'm so excited. Come on. A little over the top here. Well, glad you could be here. Had to wait a few minutes because of traffic. So, some of you don't know me. I'm Dr. Joe. This is what I look like. Sorry. I'm talking about allergies and asthma. Now, most people have some reaction. And it's funny because people say I'm allergic to pollen. Well, if I take a dust and throw it up your nose, regardless of what it is, your body's going to react to it. So we're all allergic to pollen. But let me explain the difference between an allergy and a sensitivity. Now, symptom-wise, you don't care. It's the exact same thing. But from a scientist standpoint, what's the difference? If I expose you to something, and your body starts producing specific white blood cells to it, you have an allergy. If I expose you to something and your body doesn't produce specific white blood cells, but you still have the same reaction, runny nose, headaches, blurred vision, watery eyes, then you have a sensitivity. Not important to you, but people will say, well, I went to the allergist and I got tested and I didn't have an allergic reaction. But every time I'm around pollen, I have a reaction. Well, the reason is that you're having a sensitivity, not an allergic reaction. Either way, this lecture from here on out matters. But I just want to let you know the difference, because some of you might say, well, I know I've been tested and I don't have a problem with it. You do. Okay? and I believe you. Now, some of the symptoms, allergies, of course, runny nose, right? Blurred vision, headaches, digestive problems. The body is being exposed to something that's called a foreign protein. So whenever a foreign protein comes into your body and your body responds to it, that's what we're going to consider an allergy for today's talk. So I say foreign protein. What's a foreign protein? Well, I could take, I don't know, a soybean, let's say, or a piece of meat. I don't eat meat, of course. And it's a protein. Your stomach's job is to take proteins and break them into something called amino acids. The amino acids then go into your small intestine. That's not considered foreign. Your body understands there are a certain amount of amino acids. Your body recognizes it as normal, and your body absorbs it. But if your stomach isn't breaking proteins into amino acids properly, these big chunks of protein, molecularly big chunks of protein, get absorbed, go into your small intestine, and over time you can irritate your small intestine if there's an inflammatory reaction, and you get little holes in your intestine. And then these big chunks of protein can be absorbed. And that's called leaky gut syndrome. This is going to be a key that I want you to understand. Your small intestine, some places, the intestinal wall is one cell thick. Your small intestine is not very big. And so if you eat a bad diet and cause an inflammation to occur, that inflammation can tear little holes in your small intestine where these big chunks of undigested proteins or food can be absorbed, and then you have a reaction to it. So leaky gut, I remember talking about leaky gut 30 years ago. No one knew what it was. Medical professionals like, what, leaky gut? That doesn't even make sense. No such thing. Now, it's accepted. So a lot of the things we talk about, if you followed me for many years, a lot of the things I talked about years ago are now mainstream. Because first it has to be discovered, then it has to be debated, then it has to be scorned, then it has to be laughed at, then somebody has to sit back and go, you know, maybe that's not so far-fetched. And then it becomes the norm. So a lot of the things you'll hear in my lectures, my radio shows, my books, will become mainstream, I promise you. I remember years ago, I was talking about hydrogenated oils and how dangerous hydrogenated oils are. And then I got a call one day from my mother, and we were talking. She goes, did you see the report on CNN? And I said, what? She goes, they said the #1 cause of heart disease in the United States is margarine, which is a hydrogenated oil. Then she paused and she said, I'm not sure if you're a nut or a prophet. I haven't figured it out yet. But what we're talking, it's obviously there, but the science just hasn't caught up with mainstream. So when it comes to what we're going to talk about today, I want you to get this. So a lot of the allergies that you're having, or reactions you're having, are because your digestive system is not working properly. And if we can fix the digestive system, then you're not going to have the reaction to the food or the chemical or the pollen or whatever it is. And so you got to think about that. Most people that have runny nose have a digestive problem. Most people that have allergies have a digestive problem. So if we can fix that, because why is it that you and I can be exposed to the same thing and I can have this crazy reaction and you don't have anything? Because your digestive system is working better than mine. And if the digestive system isn't working properly and these proteins or foods get absorbed, then your immune system kicks in. And when it comes to the immune system, I've done lectures on just the immune system. Your immune system, your body produces white blood cells. Make believe they're warriors, okay? They're the guys at the front line. And they will do whatever they can to keep you healthy. Well, if you keep allowing all these things to come into your body, these foreign objects or these foreign pathogens, you run out of warriors. And that's when your body gets sick. So now you can have a weakened immune system. It may not be that your immune system is weak. It may be that you're just overloading it with the bad guys. Follow that? So, first of all, I want you to think, do you have any digestive problems? Acid reflux, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation. These are all signs of a malfunctioning digestive system. Yes?
Well, if you have it at night,
Uh-huh.
it's belching that just won't stop.
Okay. Good question. You beat me to it, but I'll get there. You have a sheet of muscle here called the diaphragm. In your diaphragm, you have two holes, one for your aorta, one for something called your lower esophageal sphincter and your esophagus. So you eat food. The sphincter opens up, food drops into your stomach, the sphincter closes, it digests food, passes it into the small intestine. That's a perfectly functioning digestive system up to this point. Many of us, and when I test my patients, I've been doing this for 32 years in practice, plus my college, 35 years I've been seeing patients. 100% of the time, when I find people like this, the stomach is spasmed and pushed up into that esophageal sphincter. And when it spasms like that, the stomach isn't churning and mixing the food with the digestive enzymes to break the proteins into amino acids. So the food sits in your stomach and it rots. And when it rots, it gives off something called lactic acid. So a lot of people have heartburn and acid reflux. It's not stomach acid only coming up. It's also the rotten food, the lactic acid. Okay? Get to your question. So if the stomach is up like this, throughout the day you ate breakfast, and normally it's about 6 or 8 hours the food passes into your small intestine. Then you put another meal in, 6 or 8 hours it passes. But if your stomach is not digesting food fast enough, you're piling food on top of food on top of food. This has been digested for 4 hours, and then you throw something else in, and so nothing is ever fully digested. So by the end of the day, all this food is rotten in your stomach, up it comes. And then we do something horrible if we have this condition, we lay down. And guess what? When I'm standing, I have gravity pulling my stomach down. When I lay down, I no longer have gravity, and so that food starts to come up. And then a lot of people have acid reflux. And they'll say, well, I have to lay in bed, elevated. I can't sleep. I got to sleep in a chair. You're treating the symptom. You're not treating the cause. The symptom is the acid reflux or the burping. The cause is the stomach slammed up against the esophageal sphincter.
Yeah, but if you don't have, I always look acid reflux is when you have this stuff coming out.
Uh-huh.
I just have the air.
No, it's air. That's all fine. Yeah. There's different levels of it. Some people have it bad enough where it comes up into the throat. And the danger of this is not just that it's uncomfortable. That acid cannot be in the esophagus. The esophagus isn't designed for that. So when you have acid eating away at the esophageal wall, you can develop esophageal cancer. And I know people that have died from this. A friend of mine whose husband died from it. She said, ironically, I would have never met you had he not died, but had I met you, he wouldn't have died. Because you would have pulled his stomach down, and it's an unfortunate scenario. But the other thing that happens, a lot of people have allergies and runny nose, is the acid is coming up their throat and can actually go all the way up to their sinuses. Years ago, I remember talking about that, and allergists going, that's crazy, that's insane, acid can't go all the way up to the sinuses. Guess what they diagnose now almost all the time? They always say, do you have any acid reflux? Well, there could be the acid coming up, and then they give you something to suppress your stomach acid. Well, why is that bad? Well, you need acid to digest your food. And if you're taking a lot of those pills to suppress stomach acid, you can prevent you from absorbing calcium, magnesium, B12, and iron. Oh, crap! What was that?
Those are important.
Those are important. Yes, kind of important stuff. So first thing we have to look at is not am I allergic to whatever, is my stomach working right? And that acid, that sinus problem, that runny nose, that coughing, that could all be from the stomach acid coming up into the throat. So what we do is we take the stomach and massage it down away from the diaphragm. Based on the patients I've seen, and I don't know how many thousands and thousands of patients I've seen, about 85% have this condition. Question?
Is that the same theory for anaphylactic reactions to allergies or food allergens or even?
That's the body overreacting. So in a case like that, if it's an anaphylactic shock, it's usually going to happen so quick. But it is always about proteins and the body attacking the proteins, and the immune system just overdoes it. So then we have to try to stabilize the immune system. Good question. Very good. Okay, so before we get into the whole allergy thing, I want you to think, maybe I can just solve this problem by fixing my stomach. And that'll fix the problem. And most people it does. Okay? So, we got to consider what else is irritating us and what we can do about it. Now, some people are more sensitive than others. It is what it is. If I look at poison ivy, I get a reaction. Okay? Other people can roll around in it and they don't have a reaction to it. So I have to be careful not to expose myself to poison ivy because I've had some bad cases. I had it on my arm one time, and I was trying to treat it naturally, and I was trying all these herbs and potions and lotions. I took a picture I was sent to a friend of mine who's a medical doctor. He said, you need drugs, and you need them now. And he's a holistic guy. He's a raw food vegetarian. He said, you need them now. And he wrote me a prescription, and I took the prescription, and it went away. So I'm not against drugs, and I'm not against surgery. I just want to give you the tools so that hopefully you won't need them. But if you do need them, I want you to understand, use them. Absolutely, let's not be silly. And that's why we're living in such an amazing time where the holistic practitioners and the ordinary doctors would fight. There were days 20, 30 years ago. Well, they're quacks, they don't know what they're talking about. Now, we're all working together. I get referrals constantly from surgeons, from allergists. I had a psychiatrist send me a patient the other day. Guy had his leg cut off, big fat guy. Had his leg cut off, had a prosthesis. And I said, how can I help you? He says, I'm going to die. I said, who sent you here? He said, my psychiatrist. So I'm confused. He said, I can't stop eating sugar. And if I don't stop eating sugar, I've already had one leg cut off. They're talking about cutting my other leg off. I'm going to die. And my psychiatrist said, you need to get my brain right so that I can stop eating so much sugar. So it's really cool where 20, 30 years ago that would have never happened, and now it's commonplace that we all refer to each other back and forth. So I'm very happy with that. So you're in a good place right now. So we got to take a look at. I'm going to try to cover my notes today, which I never do. So, all right. So, stress. Let's talk about stress for a second. What stress is, because stress can put a strain on the immune system. So when you think about stress, you think about financial problems, marital problems, arguing with your boss. What about physical stress? If you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, numbness, tingling, acid reflux, this is a physical stress on the body, and this can adversely affect your immune system or prevent your immune system from working normally. So once you think about this, physical stress can be just as bad, if not worse, as emotional stress. And, back to your thing with stomach, you got the whole thing on the stomach here. The stomach's job is to take proteins and break them into amino acids. The amino acid, tryptophan, becomes a chemical in your brain called serotonin. Serotonin helps calm you down and let you focus. If the serotonin, A, you're not utilizing it properly, or B, you don't have enough, you can't focus and you become very stressed out. Anxiety, depression, bipolar, suicidal. Patient came in last week. Probably in their 60s, married couple, nice looking couple, thin. I mean, they looked like they were okay. And she said he tried committing suicide in January. And we don't know what else to do. And you have to help him. I checked his digestive system. Sure enough, it was a wreck. And they gave him drugs to try to utilize the little bit of serotonin that he had. I said, let's make more serotonin. Last Friday, he came in. After 2 weeks of care, he smiled. And his wife was crying. And I said, what's wrong? She said, he smiled. The first time in years that he smiled. And he says, Doc, I think we got it. I'm starting to see hope. And so by fixing his digestive system, which no one thought about, we help produce serotonin. Now, 95% of serotonin is not used in your brain, it's used in your digestive system. So if you're not digesting food properly, not producing the right serotonin, the digestive system wins out over the brain starts struggling, you have anxiety, depression, bipolar, in his case suicidal, and he had horrible allergies. Once I asked that question, oh my God, everything I eat, my nose runs. So the runny nose could be an issue. Now, what I want you to do is this. If you're having what you'd consider an allergic reaction, I think everybody should do this anyway, start writing down what you're eating. And then notice how you feel. This is really high-tech stuff. And say, gosh, when I eat this, I have this. The other day, I got some vegan cream cheese. Now, I'm a vegan. I've eaten vegan cream cheese before, no problems. Ate the vegan cream cheese, got a blazing headache. Didn't put it all together. A couple of days later, ate the vegan cream cheese, got a blazing headache. I said, hey, wait a minute, what would I tell my patients? Write down what's happening. So I wrote down what I ate the cream cheese a third time, got a blazing headache. Looked at the ingredients. Isolated soy protein. When you isolate a soy protein, you free up a chemical called glutamic acid. Glutamic acid you might know as monosodium glutamate. I was exposing myself to essentially monosodium glutamate, just the glutamic part. And I was getting a blazing headache. So here it is, 35 years into this game, and I'm still figuring this stuff out. Stopped eating it, no more headaches. So that's why it's important that you write things down and you see how you respond to it. I can't eat chocolate. I was dating a gal several years ago, and I never put the two and two together. Horrible headaches with chocolate. She said, I can't eat chocolate, I get headaches. So as I dated her, we didn't eat any chocolate. No headaches. She got rid of me. Ate chocolate, got a headache. Hey, how about that? Lynn was right. So start thinking about what you're responding to. And you'll say, a lot of this stuff you'll figure out yourself, which is kind of cool. Here's another test if you want to do an instant test to see if you're going to have a reaction to something. Sit down and rest for about 10 minutes. Take your pulse. Okay? And you can do it for 20 minutes and multiply by 3. That's a minute. Or you can do it for a minute. Doing it in a minute is actually the best way to do it. So do it for a minute. What the heck? Then eat something, whatever you think it is. Soybeans, cream cheese, vegan cream cheese, whatever it is. Wait about 10 minutes. Take your pulse again. If it goes up more than 4 or 5 beats, don't do anything. Do this, relax. If it goes up more than 4 or 5 beats a minute, chances are you're having an allergic reaction. So that's how you can test your own reactions to food. How cheap is that? It's about a 3-minute process. Take it, eat it, well, maybe a 10-minute process. And then you can determine, wow, I can't eat this vegan cream cheese. Or whatever it is. So now I'm trying to give you the tools that you need to take care of yourself. Because again, as we said 15, 20 minutes ago, people go to the allergist, get all these needles in their back, and they say, I'm not allergic to anything. I remember when I was a kid, horrible sinus problems. Went to the allergist, we were very poor. I mean, it was a big financial burden for my family to do this, and he stuck the needles in my arm and in my back, and I was allergic to camel hair I grew up in Hoboken, New Jersey. Okay? We'd have trees. I'd walk 3 blocks to see a tree. There were no camels, okay? So I thought, well, I guess I got to stay away from camels and I'll be okay then. And probably I'm still allergic to camel hair, I don't know. But I just remember thinking, that was it dust, which we're all allergic to, because dust has little animals in it, little critters. They get up in your sinuses, body attacks it. It was dust and camel hair, that was what I was allergic to. Well, it turns out that I have horrible reactions to dairy products. And I have horrible reactions to wheat. #1 food allergen is dairy, #2 is wheat. Well, I was textbook. I didn't know at the time, but I was textbook. And so once I went vegan, I gave up the wheat and the dairy products, sinuses cleared up. Mood changed. Digestive system changed. Because I was putting things in my body wasn't able to deal with. Because wheat has a protein in it called gluten. And gluten has 2 components, gliadin and glutenin. Don't worry about the chemistry. And when it goes into the small intestine, gluten looks a lot like the lining of your small intestine. So if I did a molecular picture, they look very similar. So my immune system, and yours probably too, is attacking the gluten. And in the process, it sees my small intestine and goes, that looks like gluten, let's get it. Let's get it, boys. And it attacks my small intestine. They scrape the cow stomachs, especially the baby cow stomachs, they scrape the lining to get the rennet, to add to the milk, to make the cheese. So you're fooling yourself if you think you're a vegetarian and eating dairy. Well, the cow was just milked and it was gentle and the cow was happy. No. Wasn't happy when they tore his stomach out. Mixed it all in. So, that's a little fun fact for you. But we don't have rennet to break down the casein, so we can't digest it, so it goes into our body and our immune system that attacks it. So the simplest thing you could do to take the stress off your immune system and calm down the sensitivities is give up dairy and give up wheat. So here's my challenge, first challenge. I want you to give up all dairy and all wheat for a week. Give me a week. If I'm wrong, so what? But I'm not. So do dairy, no wheat. Now that's not a little bite, that's not a cracker, that's not a sip, no. Nothing that comes out of the rear end of a cow, and no wheat, okay? 2 weeks. 1 week? 1 week? 1 week, all right, I'll negotiate. I should have said 5 weeks and then said 1 week. Oh, what? I can do 1 week, I can't do 5 weeks. So, 2 weeks. 2 weeks is better because then your immune system really gets to calm down. But if you lose in your mind, you can do it for 1. It's not going to be as dramatic, but do it. And so what I want you to do is no dairy, no wheat. Week from today, I want you to have a slice of pizza. Okay? High gluten wheat, high gluten flour, and dairy. And I want you to see how you feel. Chances are, bloating, gas, perhaps diarrhea, you'll feel heavy, brain fog. If I'm wrong, so what? There you go. If I'm wrong, so what? But if I'm right, which I am, then I want you to consider staying away from wheat and dairy. Now this is what most people do. They do what I say. Oh my gosh, Dr. Joe, you were right. This is a miracle. You're amazing. You're so smart. That's what you should say, by the way. And you'll do it for a while, and then suddenly something will come up in your life. A birthday party, a pizza party, whatever. You're going to go, I am feeling so good. I think I can have a piece of pizza. I can have a piece of cake. It's Bob's birthday. I don't want to offend Bob because it's Bob's birthday. And you eat it. And what do you think happens? You feel off. It all comes back. Exactly. And you go, wow, Joe was right. And you'll do this on and off your whole life, by the way, just so you know. Most people do this on and off their whole life. And every time they do it, 100% of the time, you're going to say, what was I thinking? How stupid could I be? And then you'll get straightened out again. Do it. And the good part is this. 30 years ago when I started on this crazy journey, salad. That's what vegetarians ate. Salad. Okay? And what would a typical vegetarian look like, right? Women, hairy armpits, wrinkled cotton dresses, right? They smell like patchouli. Yep. People I knew back when. But now we're seeing more and more people. And this is interesting. Several years ago, somebody came to me and said, Clinton was president at the time, said, we want you to put together a diet plan for Mr. Clinton because he's got heart condition and he's overweight. And I said, okay. I said, will he see this or not? And they said, we can't tell you. But not long after that, he went vegan. He lost all his weight, heart condition's better, Now, I don't know if it was my plan or not, because they wouldn't tell me if they gave it to them. But you're seeing where vegetarians used to be fringe, now we're mainstream. And if you look at the supermodels, and you look at the actors, the handsome men and the beautiful women, almost across the board, they're on a plant-based diet. So it does work, I promise you. Just try it and see. Now, if you're going to eat animal products, no dairy. You got to give up the dairy, I'm sorry. But 30 years ago, it was salad. Now we have so many substitutes. Everything in the dairy world is a substitute. Now, be careful if you're going to eat this like vegan cream cheese, as I've learned, is that it can have glutamic acid, so you got to learn how to read labels. And sometimes it's tricky. But isolated soy protein, hydrolyzed vegetable protein, stay away from those. Because they add an acid to it to free up the glutamate. The reason we want to free up the glutamate is because glutamate stimulates one of your taste buds, and it's called the umami taste bud. Anybody hear that word before? Recently discovered. Isn't it funny we're still discovering stuff in the human body? When I went to school, sweet, salty, sour, and bitter. Those are the 4 taste buds. Now, recently, we discovered an umami, that's a real word, umami taste bud. An umami taste bud makes things taste rich, like meat. Savory is the word. So I always thought about that. Well, where do we get savory from? Didn't have a taste bud for it. Well, we don't know. Next page. Move on. And now we found that there's another taste bud. And glutamic acid stimulates the umami taste buds, making things taste rich and meaty and savory. So glutamic acid stimulates that. So years ago, in Asia, they would use seaweed, and they would create a monosodium glutamate, but it was a very mild one, and they used it as a flavor enhancer. Well, somewhere in the 1920s or 30s, I think it was, they came up, they realized they can make their own MSG, and I think they use bacteria? They feed bacteria something, and whatever the bacteria excretes, I'll be gentle, excretes, that's where they get the MSG from. And so now we add it to our food, and that's where you have the headache reactions. In my first book, Eating Right for the Health of It, I have a whole page on all the different names for MSG, or glutamic acid-rich foods. Autolyzed yeast, hydrolyzed vegetable protein, of course, monosodium glutamate, broth. How about this one? Natural flavor. Ain't that a kick in the head? So you may be having an allergic reaction, doing that because it could be allergic, it could be sensitivity, an allergic reaction to the glutamic acid because they want something to taste rich and meaty. And so I'm sure they use isolated soy protein in this cream cheese to make it taste like rich, thick cream cheese. Did it work? Yeah, it worked well. Did it give me a headache? It did. It worked well. Question? No, just,
Oh, no, question.
just wait.
So with the replacements, like a lot of them are soy-based,
Yes.
and I find like soy is actually becoming like an issue for people.
Sure.
I think it's because of the isolation you were saying. So what would you say is like a better option instead of like eating soy-based?
Your question is that a lot of the dairy substitutes are soy-based, and I agree with you because 94% of all the soy in this country is genetically modified, and that can start a whole nother lecture. Want to go get breakfast? We'll come back and we'll continue. If it says GMO, genetically modified organism, don't eat it, because we take the food, the soy, the corn. Canola oil is made with rapini. Rapini is genetically modified. We now have genetically modified salmon. Regular salmon are about this big. The genetically modified ones are about this big. And they're only raised on farms. They're not getting into the wild. Oh. So what's going to happen is, and this is a real worry, is that we are the last generation to ever see real salmon. Because the genetically modified ones are very aggressive. And they will get out and start mating with the non-genetically modified ones, and eventually we're going to run out of non-genetically modified salmon, is the prediction, and I kind of agree with it. Okay? So, back to the GMOs. We can change the molecular structure of the DNA so that it gets bigger, or we can spray chemicals on it. Or for corn and soybeans, one way we can do it is we create a product where if the bugs eat it, their stomachs explode. So we're creating a new protein that you and I, as humans, since the beginning of time, have never seen. So when it gets into our body goes, that's a foreign protein. Remember 20 minutes ago, foreign proteins? That's a foreign protein. I've never seen it before. Let's attack it. And so a lot of people are having reactions to soybeans that they wouldn't have had 30 and 40 years ago because of the genetic modifications. So anything that says soy, I would say stay away from. Is a good thing. Now, there is organic soy, which is then certified non-GMO, but the problem is this. You have a soybean crop and you're growing organic soybeans. I have the field next to you, and I'm growing genetically modified soy. The pollen from my soy is going to go with your soy, and it's going to make soy babies that are now genetically modified. So in theory, there's no such thing as non-genetically modified soy in existence anymore. If you're going to do soy organic only, I prefer you don't do soy. Better stuff. Okay? And that's a problem, yes. I agree with you 100%. And every time I do soy and I venture away, I do what you do too. Oh, a little tempeh here. Oh, I've got to go back again. So try to stay away from the soy, the corn, the canola oil. Okay, canola oil is made from rapini, and I grew up with it called broccoli rabe when I was a child. Now it's rapini, same thing as rapini, and it's genetically modified most of the time. And it's grown in Canada, because it grows well in Canada, and that's why it's called canola. Useless information. And that's the one thing you'll remember tonight, right? Anybody ever study a foreign language? What do you remember? The curse words, right? You don't remember anything else but the curse words. So you'll remember the canola oil story. So yeah, the problem with French, German, what was it? You're gonna curse at me. So absolutely, you want to stay away from that. Okay, soy's tough. It's everywhere. Corn is everywhere. Corn's genetically modified. We make high fructose corn syrup out of it. So you think you're having a weak immune system, or you have an allergic reaction, and you're eating high fructose corn syrup made from genetically modified corn, foreign proteins getting into your body, the immune system goes nuts. Got it? Yes?
Allergies and the stress can impact your sleep as well.
Absolutely. Yes.
What do you recommend when you're having problems sleeping?
Okay, well, we said the stomach breaks sleep was the question. What about sleeps? The stomach breaks proteins into amino acid. Amino acid tryptophan becomes serotonin. Serotonin becomes melatonin, which helps you sleep. So when I have patients come in, they all think I'm psychic. So I'm taking a history and I'll say, okay, so you have acid reflux, yes, okay. Anxiety, depression, oh yeah, real bad. Trouble sleeping. How'd you know that? I knew that because of the chemistry. And once we fix their stomach, they start to sleep again. Because you got to get the melatonin, you got to get it from the serotonin and go back to chemistry. Okay, with me? One of the major universities here, hospital here, asked me if I would teach endocrinology. And I said to the head pediatric endocrinologist, I said to her, I'm a backcracker. You want me teaching endocrinology to the medical doctors? And she said, you explain things so clearly. She goes, we know it, but we can't explain it. You can teach us how to explain it so that we can teach our patients. And I politely declined because I don't have time. But yeah, I want you guys to understand it's really easy once you understand the process. Okay? With me so far? So we're going to keep tabs on what we're eating. We're going to take our pulse if we need to. We're going to stay away from genetically modified foods because this is a big issue. And depending what you're putting in your body is going to depend on how your body responds. Okay. So back to stress. I kind of wandered off on a tangent there. Surprise. When you're in pain, that's a stress to the body, and that puts a strain on the immune system. And so now you're more susceptible to things like sensitivities or allergic reactions because your immune system can't fight off the bad guys. So that's why so many patients come to our offices, and when we give them chiropractic care, they have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, numbness, tingling, foot pain, knees. There's 206 bones in the body. Any one of them can come out of place. We start putting the bones back in place, and they'll report back and say, well, Dr. Joe, you know, the pollen this year hasn't been bothering me much. It's because you're taking the stress off the immune system because of the physical stress you were creating. And whenever there's pain, there's inflammation. Every disease known to man has inflammation. And then if you're eating a diet that's high in inflammatory foods, it's going to make the problem worse. So dairy and wheat, remember those two, those are the biggies. Canola oil, omega-6 fatty acids. Peanuts, omega-6 fatty acids. Soybeans, omega-6 fatty acids are very inflammatory to the body. In a perfect world, you have one omega-3 to one omega-6. If you get to 6 omega-6s to 1 omega-3, you're probably okay. Average American, 20 omega-6s to 1 omega-3. And so often in healthcare, we're chasing the symptoms, never getting to the cause. And when you get somebody with their diet straightened out, and you fix their digestive system, and you structurally take care of the nervous system, most of the problems that you're going to have get better. And that's why we have patients come from all over the world. We had a patient fly in this week from Romania. And I had to sign papers for the State Department, saying that yes, she was coming to see me, yes, she was a patient, how many visits, what it was going to cost. I said, I don't know, I haven't seen her yet. I said, well, I'm going to guess it's about this much. And it was funny, just yesterday she sent me an email, and she said, I write better than I speak in English. She says, how much does it cost to become a chiropractor? I want to come to America and become a chiropractor. So that's kind of cool. But the radio shows are heard all over the world. You know, we're in, I think, 25 or 30 states now. By the end of the year, we should be in all 50 states. And, of course, with the internet, we're heard everywhere. And so apparently we have a big following in Romania. So you need to take care of your immune system by not stressing it. The other thing that's going to help the immune system tremendously is vitamin D. And there are a couple of supplements most of us are deficient in. Omega-3 fatty acids being one of them, vitamin D being another one, magnesium being another one. And so these are some things you might want to consider adding to your perfect diet that you all have. Okay? So vitamin D helps the immune system. Vitamin D really is a hormone, it's not a vitamin. Why we call it vitamin D? I don't know that. But it's really a hormone. And so vitamin D helps the immune system. Now in the winter, I would say most of you in here, 90% of you, 95% of you would be considered vitamin D deficient. If you have dark skin, chances are you're vitamin D deficient. Now that spring is here, I want you outside 20 minutes a day. Now you're thinking to yourself, I don't have 20 minutes to sit outside. I'm busy. Okay, roll down your window, roll up your sleeve. Drive with your arm out the window. Okay, if you have a sun vent, open it up. Let the sun in. 20 minutes of sun on your skin is going to give you about 20,000 international units of vitamin D. In the winter, I take 5,000 international units every day. But if you can get out in the sun, you're going to get 20,000 international units of vitamin D. Now, here's the thing. Sunlight, UVB rays, is going to hit your skin, take cholesterol, and convert it into vitamin D through the process. If you're out in the sun, you ever notice out in the sun sometimes you get greasy if you're out in the sun? You want to go shower right away? Not a good idea. Because it's creating on the skin, it has to be absorbed. So if you're out in the sun and wash it off right away, you're not going to get the vitamin D. Okay, so you leave it on for a little bit. You can leave it on for 2 days. Studies have shown you're still producing vitamin D 2 days later. Okay, now I think you should shower, especially if you're my patient. Okay? But that's how you're going to get your vitamin D. The vitamin D is going to help the immune system tremendously. And this is one of the reasons some scientists hypothesize that we get sick in the winter, but we don't get sick in the summer. There's other things that may be part of it. A lot of it might be the vitamin D. Yes?
You said about taking vitamin D.
Yes.
You convert cholesterol into vitamin D?
Cholesterol in your sun. UVB rays interact with cholesterol in your skin, starting the chain reaction to become vitamin D. Yes.
So then for the person who has high cholesterol and who is vitamin D deficient, if they get the sun or taking the vitamin D, that would help improve the cholesterol.
Would it probably, but what we're finding now with cholesterol, and that's a whole other lecture, but I'll give it to you because it's so important, is we used to think that you have too much cholesterol. And we need to give you a drug, statin drugs, to affect the enzymes in the liver to stop producing so much cholesterol. And it works. Take the drug, lowers your cholesterol. Absolutely works. The problem is this. Most people aren't producing too much cholesterol, they're not recycling their old cholesterol. In your liver, you have enzyme receptors. Cholesterol receptors. So your body releases the cholesterol, the good cholesterol, goes around, the body's utilizing it for hormones and a cell wall, and what's ever left goes back to the liver, gets recycled, broken down, becomes bile, and passes out when you go to the bathroom. Well, what happens is we're finding now that the liver is not recycling the cholesterol. Your receptor sites to absorb the cholesterol are blocked up. And so now the cholesterol just stays in your body floating around. So one approach is make less cholesterol. The new approach, and again, this is the stuff that's going to be mainstream in 5 years, is fix the liver so that it can reabsorb the cholesterol again. Following?
You do it with the diet.
And if you do it with your diet, you stay away from the sugar, because the sugar creates the fatty liver. When I went to school, I was taught if somebody has a fatty liver, alcoholism. Absolutely. Now we're seeing fatty liver in 5-year-olds, 8-year-olds, from too much sugar, especially the high fructose ones. Yeah.
So
So do you do anything with schools? Because I volunteer.
I never went to school. I made all this up.
Well, I mean, my grandchildren in elementary school, and my granddaughter always.
No, I lecture at
She weighs more than me,
Oh, I
and she's
know.
only
Oh,
11.
believe me, I see it all the time. I try to do, I get offered for public lectures all the time. I don't have the time to give public lectures all the time. And the problem with schools is this. I used to give lectures at schools, and I would get calls from parents. Because the kids go home and tell them this, and the parents go, you know what you're talking about. Yeah, I do. And after 2 or 3 arguments with parents, I finally said, I'm done. Listen to my radio shows. Now, a lot of teachers play my radio shows in schools. I'm fine with that. But me showing up and doing one just doesn't work. It wasn't any fun. Not that fun. So we got to clean out the liver so that you can recycle the cholesterol. And the problem is if I put you on statin drugs will lower your cholesterol, but also lowers your body's ability to produce something called coenzyme Q10. CoQ10 is utilized by every mitochondria, every cell in your body, to produce energy. And if you're not producing enough CoQ10, the cells become weak and tired. So when you start taking statin drugs, you get tired, you gain weight, your energy drops, your romantic drive drops, because you're not producing the mitochondria are not producing energy because they're not producing the CoQ10, not getting the CoQ10. So that's why I'm very, very leery of statin drugs. Now, if you need them, take them. And I'm not a medical doctor. I can't tell you to take them or not take them. But I can teach you how to get well so that you don't need them anymore. And every patient that comes in my office, I want you to get me off my high blood pressure medication. I want you to get me off my cholesterol. I can't do that. I can get you healthy so you don't need it anymore, which is my goal. And they're like, okay, let's do that. Okay. So if we can get the liver working properly, we do that by cutting out the sugars. Because if you put sugar in your body, table sugar is 50% glucose, 50% fructose. Glucose goes into the cells, is utilized as fuel. Fructose has to be converted into glucose in the liver. In the process, if you do more than 20 grams of fructose a day, it creates something called uric acid. Uric acid gets in your joints and it hurts. I'm a chiropractor. I want to get you out of pain. Uric acid prevents the body from producing nitric oxide, which opens up the blood vessels. Years ago, I've been in practice a long time, we would see issues. Kids here? Got a kid there? She's pretty little, right? We'll talk a little adult here. We're okay? Okay. Men would come in with issues, okay? And they would say, well, doc, I can't perform like I used to. And it's old men. Old guys, like in their 40s, you know? And so then they came with these little blue pills, right? And you watch every sporting event, every man in the world apparently needs little blue pills because they're in the commercial. And so what happened then, I said, what happened? What changed? I didn't see this years ago, and I'm seeing it now in 20-year-olds. Coming to doc, I mean, I had one guy come in, he looked like He-Man. I mean, he was tall and handsome with a square jaw and just ripped muscles. Doc, I can't perform anymore. So I looked at his diet, and what he was doing was he was working out, but he was eating a lot of carbohydrates, loading on carbs, especially high fructose corn syrup. Fructose converts into uric acid. Uric acid prevents nitric oxide production. Nitric oxide production opens up your blood vessels. Wasn't getting blood supply. Got him off that, everything worked. So we got to be careful with the sugar, which can cause the fatty liver, which prevents the cholesterol from being resorbed. And then if the cholesterol is high, that can cause all sorts of other problems with the immune system. All that? It's a lot of chemistry you guys get today. Okay. I'll open up to questions. How about any questions? Yes?
You mentioned about gluten. What about oats? Because oats have gluten. Is there anything about oats?
What about oats? Oats don't have gluten in them. Many times they're processed in factories where wheat is processed.
Oh, okay.
But oats do have a protein called avenin. And avenin looks a lot like gluten. So people that are really sensitive to gluten can't do oats either. So when we're doing our 2-week challenge here, 1 week challenge here, that's what I had you. I don't want you to do oats either, just in case you have a reaction to avenin. Okay?
On her question, I was going to ask something similar, but you have whole oats written here as like one of the good guys.
Yes.
Is that different from like rolled oats? Or?
Well, in the world of oats, okay, because again, I'm also a realist. So I can't tell you to cut out everything. You're going to go, I'm not going to do that. That's insane. So I'm trying to negotiate with you. So in the world, you have groats, which is the whole oat. That's the best. Then they dry it and cut it, and it's called steel cut oats. Those are second best. Then we steam the steel cut oats, roll them out to create old-fashioned oats. That's what most of you think of as oats. Then we chop them up real small, and we have instant oats. So in the world of oats, Groats is the best, then steel cut, then old fashioned. Don't do instant ever. Okay? Sorry.
It's okay.
Got mad at you, give it more questions? That's it? Yes, I say normally it's 20 minutes questions here.
When you go about vegetables, is this not organic, is it GMO?
Yes.
That's it.
GMO says, give me the numbers on it. Is it 8 is a GMO? If the 8 is the first number? I think if it's 8 is the first number, it means it's GMO, and if it's 9, it's organic. And if just 4 numbers, then it's conventional. I think I'm right there. I'm right? Okay, thank you. Yeah, if it has an 8 and 5 numbers, and the first number is 8, it's genetically modified. Now, one of the health food store grocery chains, I asked them the other day, because they had corn on sale, really cheap, 6 for $1. And I like corn. So I sent them an email just yesterday, and I said, hey, is your corn, can you say it's not genetically modified? They said, no, we can't say that. We don't know that. Okay? So if it has an 8 or just 4 numbers on the barcode, chances are it could be, if it's an 8, it's definitely genetically modified. If it only has 4 numbers, it could be genetically modified. If it's a 9, it's organic. Okay? But the problem is with corn, like soybeans, it's probably been so cross-pollinated. Yes?
So what if, you're saying you have stomach issues and the wheat and dairy, they cause inflammation. If you move the stomach away from the diaphragm, but you still eat wheat and dairy, does that negate everything?
It doesn't negate everything, but if you still eat the wheat and dairy, we don't have the enzymes, whether your stomach is working or not, to break them down properly.
Okay.
And some people have more reactions than others. And it's funny because people say, I have no problem eating dairy. I have no problem eating wheat. And I'll say, do my challenge. And they'll do it. And I say, oh my gosh, you were right.
So for the kids, like if you're trying to wean them off of some of the stuff, it's okay to go in moderation. You should just say,
I used to date a girl, she said, moderation is for monks. I don't want to be a monk. I want extreme health. And that's what we're shooting for, is extreme health. Okay? So, yeah, I wouldn't give it to them at all. Okay?
You just served an ice cream.
I sure did.
Right.
What was in it?
Bananas, maple syrup, walnuts, and was it almond milk or
Okay.
rice milk?
Yeah.
Yeah, but, all right, so kids won't know really the difference. You take them.
If you start them out right, you can get away with it. The problem is kids are smarter than you. And they're going to be exposed to this stuff somewhere around the world. They're going to go, wait a minute, this creamy stuff is a lot better than this walnut stuff you fed me. But what I do, what I recommend too, is, first of all, everybody has to buy at least 1 copy of each book, okay? Okay. Try it.
And there's a 10%
And a 10% discount on everything today, by the way. All right, I created this. This helps tremendously with people with allergic reactions because it's made with raw fruits and vegetables. When you cook something above 110 degrees, the enzymes are destroyed. And I cover that in my new book here, which everyone will have a copy of. But the food is, if the enzymes are available, it's going to help break down the food more efficiently. Okay? So somebody came to me years ago and said, what's the best supplement in the world? I said, if somebody could take raw fruits and vegetables and put them in a pill, that would be the best food in the world. So I sat with chemists out of California and we created Dr. Joe's Essential Source. Raw fruits and vegetables, we juice them, take the water out at a very low temperature and the sugar. What's left is a powder. All the enzymes are active still. Then we add prebiotics and probiotics, good bacteria. I could go into good bacteria here. I'm trying to keep you guys, within an hour here. Good bacteria, and it's a complete multivitamin. So when I take this, and when most people say they take this, it helps tremendously with their sensitivities to food. I take this at least once a day. Now, if I'm going to give a lecture, if I'm going to do a big radio show, big convention, I'll take it more than once a day. It's no limit. I mean, you can do it 2 or 3 times a day. It's not a problem. Then I said most of us are too acidic. So what can I do to get the body more alkaline? So if the body is too acidic, it's very sensitive. And so you can have bigger reactions. And so I created Dr. Joe's Super Greens. We have a mint flavor and a plain. I like the plain person. Mint. Okay, mint, yeah. The problem is with this, and I'll be honest with you, we put mint in here and some dried coconut milk. So this tastes great, but you're not getting as much product as you would with this because it's replaced with mint and coconut milk. That being said, this is still great. I like this stuff, I'll be honest. So, the super greens, wheatgrass, barley grass, and alfalfa grass. I just said wheatgrass. You told me not to eat wheat. The grass don't have gluten in it. When the berries form, that's when you get the gluten. So wheatgrass, barley grass, alfalfa grass, chlorella and spirulina, which is the best source of omega-3 fatty acids in the world, get the immune system up. And then we adults, which is seaweed, have iodine, because statistically speaking, everybody here is iodine deficient. And that'll affect the immune system. Every cell in the body, by the way, needs iodine. We don't know why. Some of the cells, we know it has an iodine receptor site, we don't know why. We will. The body knows, so don't mess with Mother Nature. Okay? I take a scoop of each one, I mix it with coconut milk or almond milk, shake it up, and I drink it.
You combine all three.
I don't do the mint. I don't do the mint. I do the other one. But I made the mint because people say, well, the other one isn't delicious. So, as far as kids go, what you do is take a frozen banana, some frozen fruit, take a scoop of each, throw it in a blender, zzz, and you got it. And the kids will like that. So the reason we made you coconut milk ice cream today, walnuts are high in omega-3 fatty acids. Helps the immune system. Okay? And that's why we gave you that today. Now, you had the gazpacho too? Was it awesome?
Yes.
Did it rock?
Yes.
It was raw. The reason I did that is so that you can be exposed to enzymes. Now, the tomato juice we use is probably cooked, but you can use raw tomatoes if you want. But the raw fruits and the raw vegetables, and tomatoes are fruit, is going to give you the enzymes that you need. So when it comes to allergy season, we're going to give you enzymes from raw food to help the immune system. And then we gave you the ginger. Ginger is wonderful, and it's a wonderful anti-inflammatory. So the ginger tea that we made for you, Lori made for you, is going to help bring down the inflammation in the body. And if you want to get really crazy, you can take the lemon ginger, take some lemon and some ginger, put it in a food processor with some lemon juice and puree it. Like Lori said, put it in an ice cube tray. You want to give the kids a treat? Take that, put it in a food processor, and blend it up into an Italian ice. Now the kids will eat that and like it. Okay? You can add a little stevia to it as a sweetener as well. So that's why we gave you the food. It wasn't that Lori had nothing else to do and wanted to make you guys dinner. It's true. But the reason we did that is so that you can experience, okay, I just had 3 things that were really tasty, would do wonders with my allergies. Oh, and asthma, I've got to cover asthma too. Pinched nerve right here, that's the nerve to the lungs, and that's usually every asthmatic patient I've ever had. If we adjust the neck, open up the nerve supply to the lungs, pull the stomach away from the diaphragm, most asthmatics get amazing results. Yes?
There's a lot of conflicting research about coffee.
Yes.
Is it good or is it bad?
Coffee's bad, but I'll negotiate with you. I'm smart. I don't argue with women. I don't argue with women or patients. Never won an argument either time. Coffee's an acid. When you put acid in your body needs calcium to neutralize the acid. It is sucking calcium out of your body like a magnet to neutralize the acid. Coffee is one of the most, if not the most, sprayed foods in the world, as far as chemicals go. Most of the chemicals are endocrine disrupting chemicals to kill the bugs. Well, guess what? It's messing with your hormones as well. So if you're going to do coffee, it has to be organic. Or don't drink it. I would prefer you do organic decaf, which, by the way, is less caffeine. Decaffeinated just means less. So there is no guideline to say it has to be 20% less or whatever. So, organic decaf. Once you do that, you're going to get off the addiction because the caffeine gets in your brain and blocks up the adenosine receptor sites. Adenosine is a chemical that's released in your brain that makes you tired. So coffee doesn't give you energy, it blocks up your body's ability to get tired. Does that make sense? And so that's bad because you're messing with Mother Nature, you're messing with the brain. So organic decaf and then wean yourself off that. But the answer is yes, it's bad, but here's my negotiation. Okay? I'll always negotiate with you. More questions? Yes?
Why do you have strawberries listed under as a culprit?
A lot of people have reactions to strawberries, and one of the reasons is when they spray them, they got those little bumps in them, those little dimples, and the pesticides and chemicals stay in there. So if you're going
Sorry, how do you use it as a
you want to do organic, and then just wash them real well. Now, some people have reactions to strawberries. If you do, don't eat them. It's just that simple. Question? So another hand? Yes?
So you're talking about utilizing these to help with the outline in your stomach.
Correct. Outline your body, not your stomach.
Your body. If a person, you were talking about the gentleman who had the amputee.
Right.
All right, I don't know, it's diabetes or gout. They have a problem with uric acid. Do these help with that?
It'll help tremendously, but again, if you're just taking this and still putting uric acid in your body, like fructose and high fructose corn syrups, the answer is you're just treating the symptoms. But I take that every day and I don't do it. But once you get the body alkaline, and that's the minimum amount of nutrients you need for your body to work. Most of us give us far less than the minimum amounts. So I'm giving you the minimum amount, then you add a good diet to it, then you fix the stomach, then you make sure if you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, numbness, tingling, headaches, you get your spine checked. And I'm actually throwing my hat in the ring for Surgeon General. Surgeon General was just fired by the new administration. They have a temporary Surgeon General. I'm good friends with the president, one of the president's best friends, and we're talking about me throwing my hat in the ring for Surgeon General. So when that happens, I'll take all this information and incorporate it. I think it'll be fun. So I love that job, because I think it'll be cool. And so then we start incorporating stuff like this. This is way cheaper than anything else we're doing that will get the biggest bang for your buck. So products like this, I hope, become mainstream. Yes?
In your liver, this is a plug for the liver, you talk about vinegar in the water versus
Yes.
in the water. And does that, if you have the vinegar, does that interact with any of the other stuff or
No, no.
vitamins?
See, in my new book, I talk about apple cider vinegar, so thank you for reading it. It's good.
I'm good at reading, I'm not good at doing it.
Oh, Organic apple cider vinegar stimulates your digestive enzymes to help break the proteins into amino acids. And ironically, apple cider vinegar, once it's digested, becomes an alkaline. All the other vinegars stay acid. So what I talk about in here is take 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, and I'll leave it at that. You have to buy the book. No. 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, put it in a big glass of water next to your bed. Glass water. Glass, not a plastic glass. The vinegar will dissolve to plastic. And I want you to drink it first thing in the morning. And when you do, you'll be amazed. After a couple of days, your metabolism increases, you start to lose weight, you have more energy, helps with the sinus problems, but it's got to be raw organic apple cider vinegar. It's really expensive. A bottle this big will cost you like $4. So you'll go broke. Okay, go ahead.
What do you think of powdered collagen?
Powdered collagen. You know, this must be the big buzzword this week, because this is like the 3rd person to ask me that. I'm not a big fan of taking animal products. If you're going to do powdered collagen, because they get it from ground up cartilage in animals, it's got to be what?
And marine as well.
And marine too. That's true. But make sure it's organically raised. Because what happens is if they're feeding like chickens, I think 2 to 3 or 1 of the 3 of the major chicken feeds, they put arsenic in it. And arsenic makes the chicken weigh more. Arsenic is a heavy metal. You have 0 need for arsenic in your body. And so if we're using non-organic chicken cartilage and grinding it up, chances are you're getting arsenic into your body. So I never understood why you would want to take that, because if you have a good diet that's low acid and alkalizing, you're not dissolving your own cartilage, you're making your own. So I'm not a big fan of the cartilage because it's an animal product, and especially where it comes from. Okay?
What if it's not an animal
What source did I have?
Well, the marine.
Now is it marine, is that an algae they're using then?
I don't know, I've just seen it on the shelf and just.
Yeah, I don't know if it's coming from fish or if it's coming from algae. I'm not sure where it comes from, so I don't know that answer. Okay? But if the body's healthy, the chances are you don't need to take it. That's the cool part. Go ahead.
Autoimmune conditions like psoriasis or, stuff that never.
Psoriasis, whenever I see a skin condition, you always got to look at the biggies, wheat and dairy. And in most cases, when I get people off wheat and dairy, they get good reactions.
So eczema and psoriasis, even though they're 2 different.
You know, 2 different things. When I get off wheat and dairy, it seems to help. Yes?
My daughter had eczema very badly. Like when I first took her to the doctor, they had 4 nurses come in, one after another, to look at her. She looked so horrible.
Wow.
When we go to the mall, she just looked like a leper. And I researched and researched and researched and read, and I finally found a nurse's guide that fits in your pocket, the little pocket guide, that talked about citric acid. And it's in almost everything. It's horrible. It's the #1 ingredient in grapes. It's the #1 ingredient in Kool-Aid. It's in all the Gatorades. We're putting Gatorade like crazy in our kids' bodies, and it's totally artificial. And I cut out strawberries. Strawberries was a huge culprit. Any of the flavored, like gummy bears, anything that has that flavoring, that sourness comes. They use citric acid as one of the main ingredients. And she could smell gummy bears, and she would just be talking to you like this. I would go in her room at night, and she would be asleep, and she would be scratching. And I cut that out, and it took probably, my husband thought I had lost my mind. I wouldn't let her have ketchup. But I cut this out for about 3 weeks, because I heard it's like 21 days to break a habit or whatever. And I'm telling you, her skin cleared up. She's 20 years old now, and but it was a horrible, horrible condition. It was citric acid, tartaric acid, malic acid.
Yeah, the acids and then the wheats and the dairies, and most people get great results, So which is kind of cool. Because it's problems from the inside out, not from the outside in, and so often we treat it from the outside in. Yes?
What causes children to have a lot, I guess you call it eczema, with a lot of like
I'd have to see it. I could take a look at it for you, but I don't know because it's bumps and black. I don't know what that means. You know, it could be anything. So a lot of people have skin fungus, tinea versicolor, and those are white patches, and that's usually a digestive problem. Yeah, I'll take a look at it for you. Okay. All right, here's your homework. Go ahead, one more. All right, go ahead.
Speaking of your new book, you did mention in there about eating, I think, grits, which surprised me. Didn't you say grits was listed in there? And I guess I thought that was.
Grits as being good. Well, if you're going to do grits, again, I'm trying to be reasonable. Okay? I always say it's brown belt nutrition. When you're ready to go black belt, we take you to another level. So if you're going to do grits, they have to be organic, but again, we do run the risk of genetically modifying. Okay?
I have one important question. You talked about the apple cider vinegar.
Yes.
At work, we're doing this fitness type campaign, and someone suggested the thing that people are using, adding baking soda with the apple cider vinegar.
If you have baking soda, what happens is you're trying to neutralize the body, but too much baking soda can put you into alkalosis. So the problem with that is that what you're doing is you're trying to treat the acid, but that's the symptom. Taking the baking soda treats the symptom, not the cause. The cause is you're putting too much acid in your body. You got to get to the cause. Okay? And I don't want too much baking soda, it's too alkalizing.